Then on Sports Central, we go for a college football game preview and prediction on the 2024 College Football Playoff Rose Bowl matchup between the Michigan Wolverines and the Alabama Crimson Tide. A matchup between a powerhouse and a dark horse coming up here in the College Football Playoff semifinals. You got Michigan 13-0 on the season, the most dominant team in the country. This team won the Big Ten, very much deserving of being number one. But they're taking on a team you do not want to face in the postseason, and that is Alabama. This team is 12-1 on the season, not quite as dominant as Michigan, but they're a Nick Saban coach team, and that is a very dangerous team when it comes to the postseason. So a lot on the line for both teams. Third straight college football playoff appearance for Michigan, taking on a dynasty who's trying to get back to the national championship in Alabama. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with their team trends. Michigan beat Iowa 26-0 for the Big Ten title. Complete shutdown of the Hawkeyes there, in Michigan 13-0. This team is especially brutal on defense. That's really where this team shines most. Their offense has found a way in each of their games, and they've really had some impressive performances as well. But it's really the defense where Michigan has stood out this season. As for Alabama, beat Georgia 27-24, took down the back-to-back national champions. I honestly thought Georgia, the way they were playing in November, the way they were so dominant in that last month, it just seemed like Georgia was on their way to their third straight national title, but Alabama said nope, and they beat Georgia 12-1 on the season. Crimson Tide, you think back to the first half of the season, especially that Texas game or even the South Florida game that came after that, it seemed like this team had no chance of winning a national title this season, let alone getting to the college football playoff. But here we are, and honestly, Alabama's a 4 seed in the college football playoff, obviously, but this is a team that is dangerous. I mean, they could absolutely go out and win this entire thing. Games be on Monday, January 1st in Pasadena. Kickoff is 5 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Michigan by 2 here. It's kind of, I mean, it was Michigan by 1, I think, last week. It's kind of, Michigan's always been the favorite, but it's been really close, and that's probably something you would expect. Over under 44.5. FPI is going Michigan as well, 55%. You look at the bowl history for both teams. Michigan actually has not won a bowl game since 2015. They have lost 6 straight bowl games. They've been to the college football playoff now 3 straight years. They played TCU last season, lost to them 51-45, and then lost to Georgia in the college football playoff Orange Bowl back in 2021, 34-11. So it was close last season. Just the defense couldn't hold TCU, and so here we are for Michigan, being in their 3rd straight college football playoff, their 3rd try to get to a national championship. But as for Alabama, this team has a lot of success in the postseason. 46-27 overall, a really impressive bowl record for Alabama. 46 bowl wins is insane. But they last season won. They beat K-State in what was the Sugar Bowl. And then back in 2021, obviously they made it to the national title game, lost to Georgia, and they won the national title back in the 2020 season over Ohio State. Your stat comparison, Michigan 12th in points per game, 1st in points allowed. This is the best defense in the country in Michigan. There's 71st in passers game, 57th in rush yards, especially strong backfield here with Michigan. You got Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, a really strong backfield. And don't forget about J.J. McCarthy, a guy who's been around and he's experienced. This is a team that's as experienced as they've been the past 3 years, and that's something they have to their advantage here. As for Alabama, 25th in points per game, 16th in points allowed. A really balanced team here as well in Alabama. Their defense is better than their offense, but the offense has also come around. I mean, they've come a long ways in this season. You think back to week 2, week 3, lost to Texas and put up only 17 on South Florida in week 3. Yeah, this team has come a long ways since September. That is a guarantee there. Recent matchups, Michigan beat Iowa 26-0, beat Ohio State by 6. That Ohio State game really was, I mean, obviously you can consider the controversy that Michigan's been through as well, with the sign stealing and all of that, especially when that went down in November. The one thing is for Michigan that we know for sure is this team has continued to win. They beat Penn State 24-15, beat Maryland by a touchdown. Obviously, the Ohio State win was huge, and it took care of Iowa no problem for the Big Ten title. So for Michigan, this team has really been impressive in the second half of the season. Their first half of the season was pretty straightforward, really no tough games, but they have proven to be a true national contender here in the second half of the season. As for Alabama, the win over Georgia, beat Auburn 27-24. You think back to that Auburn game and the miracle that was that last play of the game for the Crimson Tide. You think about if that didn't happen for the Crimson Tide. They're obviously not in the college football playoff right now, and things look a lot different at this point in the season for sure. But truth is, Crimson Tide found a way, and they also did against Chattanooga, Kentucky, and LSU before that, all three of those being dominant wins. Your key points: Michigan 13-0, third straight college football playoff appearance for the Wolverines. Can this team finally get over that hump of winning in the college football playoff? And once again, I mentioned how it was Ohio State before this. They couldn't get to the college football playoff because of Ohio State, it seemed, every year. And Michigan has turned the tables on that. And now it's just about winning in the semifinals and trying to get to a national championship, something that Michigan has been so close to doing. This is a team that's had such impressive teams the past 3 years. It seems like this is the team to do it for Michigan. They're the most experienced they've been of the past 3 years. You got J.J. McCarthy, who's been overall really impressive this season, a defense that has been brutal. It just feels like this is the team to do it for Michigan. And I mean, you look at the way they've won their games as well. They haven't necessarily won games in high-scoring fashion. You look at the Penn State game, the Ohio State game, and even the Iowa game. I mean, all three of them were huge this season, and the defense really showed up in all three of them. So for Michigan, obviously this is an experienced team that's really dominant on both sides of the ball, but the matchup is tough, though. There's no line there, and I feel like everyone sees that. Alabama's a team that's the 4 seed, but I would say they're the most dangerous in the 4-team field. This is a Nick Saban coach team. That is, I mean, it's so tough, especially in the postseason, to bet against a Nick Saban coach team, no matter who they've got at quarterback, whether that's Jalen Milroe, whoever. They might not be the most talented team, but you got Nick Saban as your coach, and that's a very dangerous thing. They have not been as dominant this season, but especially in the second half, they have found a way in each of their games. The Georgia game, for them to go in there, taking on as brutal of a Georgia team as they are. I mean, this team is, if they can beat Georgia, they can beat anybody in the country, that is for sure. But with that, let's get a prediction here for Michigan and Alabama coming up here in the college football playoff semifinals at the Rose Bowl. And in the end, I'm going with Nick Saban and Alabama, 24-20. Alabama finds a way to win this game. Michigan, I mean, both teams are talented, but especially Michigan on paper is the more talented team. But for Michigan to take on Alabama is it's a really tough draw. And Alabama, a Nick Saban coach team that just won in the SEC title game over Georgia. I just feel like Alabama's going to find a way to win this game. I mean, Michigan might be the more talented team defensively. In fact, they absolutely are. I just feel like Alabama's going to find a way to win this game in the end. And it's going to be close. It's going to be probably a more defensive matchup, I would imagine. Could be even lower scoring than this, I would probably expect as well. But I do think Alabama finds a way to win this game. 55% taking the under. Alabama to cover the spread as well. I mean, you look at Michigan the last couple of years, they should have beaten TCU last season in the college football playoff semifinals. They simply didn't, and they've got another chance, their third straight college football playoff semifinal. I mean, they've lost the last 2 times. I just don't know if I can trust them to win this time around after losing the last 2 years. But, I mean, it's a tough draw. It's pretty much a coin toss as well. I just think Alabama finds a way, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. I appreciate you guys watching as always. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.